Nice new radiator. Oh, well, it's actually not a new radiator, it's the original radiator that was in here. Been recalled, courtesy of Viking Radiators, thanks Frank. Yeah, prices have gone up a bit on the radiator cores. We're going to blame everything on that except Brexit. Yeah, raw material prices. So I've been over, serviced the ignition, got me jerry can there because we're not running this off the fuel tank, we're just running it off. And this, before you go berserk, this is actually a fuel tank off a go-kart, I believe. So it's got the fuel feed and the fuel return. I've mounted a pump onto the inner wing here, and I got the ignition coil there. Yes, it's not ideal, but those components are further away than they are on your lawnmower, let's put it that way. So really just my fuel pump is activated just by giving that a positive feed, and we can hear it firing into life over there, and we can see the fuel returning, pumping through the clear line, returning through the black line. So I'm happy enough with the fuel pump. I've just connected everything up. Really I want to just double check we're getting a spark off this thing, but because I've primed the carbs up, there's a reasonable chance that it'll just bloody start, won't it? So I thought, well, I'd better start videoing, hadn't I? Hadn't I? Yes, Richard, yes you had. So let's find the tripod. There it is. Hello, tripod. I'm also going to plug the charger in as well because the battery's almost flat. Yeah, it'd be nice to wake you up. Oh, in other news, they're moving. Right, so the objective here is, does it fire? I've got a fire extinguisher over here. It should. I mean, basically, I'm not expecting miracles, but it should actually fire up. Are we going to bother with... I'll leave the fuel pump off for a second because the float chambers are full. It might fire. Let's give it a go. No ignition. We're going to turn. Got oil pressure. It says we've got oil pressure. Have we got oil? Right, just. Gauge isn't reading oil pressure. Why is the gauge not reading oil pressure? The oil pressure light went out on the dash. Right, so we're getting 35 psi of oil pressure, which is good. Next thing, because we're not going to start, let's have a quick check on Sparky McSparkface. So if I'm just going to wire this up over here. You don't want to get in the way. So take that off there. We'll put that on there. Balance him up here so I can see him. And we'll come round over here. I can still see him. Getting no spark. Why are we getting no spark, Richard? Okay, that's irritating. Having kind of been over this whole fucking thing, I did put the rotor arm back in, didn't I? Because that would be pretty amateur. Yep, I did. Right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run a lead, a 12 volt lead, directly to the ignition coil and the amplifier. And the reason for this is I'm just a little bit suspicious of the blue. So we were having a very weak spark last time. So if I run this round here, does that reach it? It does reach. Right, so we've got 12 volts onto there, 12 volts onto there. Now we should get a spark. Now we're getting a mother of all sparks. So take that off for a second. We might have to put the charger on the battery because this battery's been cranking this engine a fair bit. Right, plugs on. really we want to connect everything up, don't we? But I think what I might do is, before I do all that, let me give this battery a boost for half an hour, because then at least there's no bloody excuses, are there? No, Richard, there's not. Right, half an hour battery charge, almost 0 o'clock. Right, so let's connect up the whole fucking shebang this time. So I'll put that on there. We will connect that on there. Right, there we go. See if it fucking starts now. Joke. I'll find the fucking joke, there it is. It goes! Fucking go! Too much, so you can on the car. Oh, my fish is fine. Right, we'll turn that off because I want to run this up properly outside. Fucking started! Oh yeah! Right, so next steps really tomorrow. I need to clear the way, get this out of the workshop, so I'm not going to poison myself with carbon monoxide, and give it a damn good tune-up outside. The backfire through the carbs then, that was purely because of the ignition timing, which I have not set yet. So yeah, but it started. Well, we've got daylight. We're outside. I'm going to basically get this thing fired up. And there's a number of things I need to do. I need to set the ignition timing. I need to bleed the power steering. I need to give it an overall check over and also bed the cam in. And I've also got a brand new engine here with finely honed cylinder bores. So how you do this is going to be carefully. So I'll video it all. I'm not expecting dramas. As you've seen, the engine starts. Face, and then really, probably just close this door to prevent my workshop from filling up with carbon monoxide. Really going to get the carb cam bedded in, and then we can go through the finer tuning on the carburetors. I don't want to be fucking around with the mixture. I've got the carbs basically set at a baseline setting, which should be good enough really to start this thing up. We're still running the ignition, and everything is still running direct from the battery, which is not a huge issue, but I need to work out why the feed here is not giving me a spark. It is I believe it's a Eureka wire. Might just be completely incompatible with the ignition amplifier, and it just needs a white feed from the white loom ignition unfused. Right, let's get on with this. Right, the other thing I have got here is I've got a viscous fan. So once I have got the ignition timing set, I'm going to turn it off, fit the viscous fan, and then we'll bed everything in at that point. Power steering, fluid. You can't bleed these things quite as easily as you can the other ones. It probably is just a bleed screw on the top there, I don't know. But normally I just crank it backwards and forwards, we'll see. See what happens. Battery on. And you see already the strobe has woken up. Let's put the coffee over there. I need to connect up now my fuel pump, which is here. That's on. We've got ignition on and neutral. There, prop. Ignition, I think. Just rotates the distributor a tiny bit. Just walks around, obviously, a little bit. Try that again. Far out. Stroke probably too far out. So we should choke in a little bit. Go on, girl. Good oil pressure. That's just running too lean, so check that to come back out a bit. This is all down to the fine tuning on the distributor here. Let's pull this around a little bit. Right, come on, girl. You can do this. It will go. Might just double check over the ignition and so forth. Trying to work out where this bloody ignition needs to go. It worked the other day, didn't it? You saw it. That might be too far now. We'll see. Oh. It's a dangerous flooding, which I don't want to do. Come right back over here. Right, now while we've got it running, 900 RPM. Checked out the distributor, but I can't get it exactly where I want it because of that. Currently running at 2000 RPM. So, really I need to rotate the distributor Turn the ignition off, put the viscous fan on because it's probably close enough that I can get the cam bedded in. There's a lot of oil burning off everything. That can go on there, that can go on there. Power steering pump is already fucking empty. Viscous fan on. I can take all these wires around the front here off because I don't want to risk losing my wires or my strobe. Oh, come on, you fucker. Oh my goodness. Get off it, you bastard. You bastard, you bastard. There we go. Come on. Right, so viscous fan goes on. We need to take this, needs to come off. That's the tacker, this needs to come off, which is for my strobe. Strobing with the strobe face can come out of the way. Let's take it off and out of the way for a second. We'll come back to ignition in a minute. Let's do the rest of it. I say it's close enough. Right, what time are we? 1 o'clock, 10 past 1, McFace. So, ignition back on. No output from the alternator. Right. Right. Will not run off choke. Look at the viscous fan going. Right, so we wedge. It's going to have to run with the choke on. It's obviously running so lean that it can't run without the choke. Obviously paint and stuff is burning on. Water pump's working. I don't know if we've got power steering yet or not. Yeah, we've got power steering. It is breathing a bit, but then it doesn't stink. Oh. Run out of petrol. Running out of petrol. That should be enough to keep going. I'll just start it back up again. Start you back up again. Finish this off. Another 10 minutes. And we should be done. Oil pressure's dropped a bit, but then it's got a running in oil in it, so I'm guessing that it's doing its job. 36 psi now. Obviously the oil's heating up as well. Right, that's pretty much about it now. I'm still running at 2000 RPM. Oil pressure's dropped down to just below 35 psi, but like I say, it is a running in oil. So I'm going to, I think, shut this off and let it cool down. It's not running particularly hot, but yeah. Right, so disconnect the ignition there, turn the ignition off here. Right, after a very, very, very rough tune-up, choke in. Sweet enough, isn't it? It's missing under load on one cylinder, and I'll figure that out. Oil pressure hasn't improved. I'm going to have to change the oil, so I'll wait for it all to cool down a tiny bit. But basically, yeah, runs better. Alternators are doing fuck all though, so I don't know. I'm going to have to work out why the alternator's doing fuck all, but the alternator is doing fuck all. I've got another alternator I can lob on it. Right, let's pop you away, I think.